What is going on, Fam Jam? So Monday Night Football was last night. We got to see the Giants and the Washington Commanders. So that wrapped that up. It was also the first week of playoffs for a lot of fantasy leagues. So just wanted to drop in and give you guys my top 10 after week 15 games in the NFL going into week 16. At number 10, I've got the Giants, who took down the Commanders in Washington. Now, I will go ahead and say the Ravens are not in it anymore, and a lot of people will wonder because they have a better record. I just see a more ferocious defense with New York, and Baltimore's just not scoring points. They lost to the Browns, and they only put 3 points on the board. So I think until Lamar Jackson gets back, I don't see Baltimore cracking the top 10, and that's why I've got the Giants where they are. Daniel Jones made some throws that he needed to. Now, I understand that last non-call on PI changed that entire game, but as it stands, the Giants won that game, and I'm going to put them at 10. Number 9 is going to be the Chargers. Again, I've been pretty high on Justin Herbert and his ability with Keenan Allen on the outside, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler being fantastic. I do think they have some holes on the defense, and that's where they can get into some trouble. And there is some room for growth for Herbert to make a little bit better decision making, but that just comes with experience. He's still relatively new in the league, 3 or 4 years in, so I do like them at 9. I do think they make the playoffs, so Chargers there. At number 8, I've got the Dolphins. I do not know what has happened. They're on a 3-game losing skid. Tua still just kind of looks out of whack. There were a couple of long throws to Waddle. The Penguin did what he does best, but they still just seem a little out of whack. I know that the snow had an effect going from Miami all the way into Buffalo. All of those things was crazy. And then the snowball fight in that game was funny. Ended up having to tell the crowd not to throw the ice balls onto the field. But I do think that was an effect. But in the end, they're on a 3-game losing streak, and slide them down to 8. 7, the Cowboys, who struggled with Houston last week, were taken down by the Jaguars this week, so move them down as well. That defense did not show up. The Jaguars put 40 on them. I don't know where that identity went, but I think the Cowboys need to get that back. They need to work on the defensive side of the ball because Tony Pollard's running like crazy. Zeke is the most consistent, especially in fantasy points. He's a solid 12 to 15 fantasy points running back a week. So those 2 running backs are doing good. CeeDee Lamb is making strides coming into the league. I think this is his 3rd or 4th year. He's doing better, and now that Dak is healthy, I still think there's a little bit of worriness. It's up here, not in his hand, but I do think he worries about that some. So I've got them down at 7. 6 is the Vikings, who ended up coming and making the biggest comeback in NFL history. They were down 33-0 to Indianapolis, ended up winning that game. Was insane. Cannot believe that happened. But we keep saying they're not any good, and then they keep winning ball games. So until they prove that they're just not great, do I think they go far in the playoffs? No. But they keep winning games in the most ridiculous ways. So Vikings at 6. Number 5, I have the Bills. They did not get it to Diggs, who is their star player. Took a few shots with Isaiah McKenzie. He didn't come up with the ball. Dawson Knox had some drops. Now, I know he got the touchdown in the end zone, but he had a couple that went straight through his hands. The running game is hit or miss depending on the game. I think James Cook is emerging as a very good pass-catching back, and their defense is pretty sturdy. But Josh Allen running is what did that, and I think that the weather was in effect, and they just had that grit. Josh Allen wanted to win that game, and that's why they did. But they look a little out of sync. I don't really know what's going on in Buffalo. But again, they win over the Dolphins this week, so got them in there at 5. At 4, I've got the 49ers. Brock Purdy had another strong showing, leaning on CMC to run the ball. He can catch out of the backfield, which helps that group, that offense, a lot. And George Kittle had 2 touchdowns in that game. Didn't need to lean on Brock Purdy going and winning the game in the end. They pretty much stayed ahead from the get-go. So I've got the 49ers at 4 because that defense is crazy good. And while I don't know if Brock Purdy will be able to get them out of a hole if they go down early, I'm not sure they start a game and go down by 2 touchdowns until, second round of the playoffs. So 49ers at 4. At 3, I've got the Chiefs. Still just 2 games. They defeated Houston, but they struggled with them. Houston kind of put the Cowboys on the ropes last week, put the Chiefs on the ropes this week. So I don't know if this is more Houston getting better or if those 2 teams were playing down with the competition. But the Chiefs didn't look like the Chiefs of the first 8 weeks, so I moved them down to 3. Still, anytime you've got Mahomes to Kelsey, that is lethal. And if you can't cover up Kelsey and jam him at the line, he's going to burn you. So Valdez-Scantling had a good game. And look at Pacheco and Kadarius Toney to start doing more in that offense. So Chiefs at 3. At 2, I've got the Bengals. They defeated Tampa Bay, come down from a 17-0 deficit to absolutely obliterate Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Joe Burrow's turned it on. Jamar Chase coming back absolutely helps that offense. So they are peaking at the right time. They're doing what they need to do. They're going to get a good seeding and probably home field advantage in the playoffs. They look good. So, number 1, that does leave the Eagles. Now, Jalen Hurts did have a sprained shoulder, is unsure to play this coming week, but I think they locked up the first seed, and if they didn't, they're only 1 game away from locking up, so resting him this week wouldn't be terrible. Miles Sanders had a terrible game, but Jalen Hurts had an incredible game. Defeating Chicago, they did kind of mess around, let Chicago stay in the game, but the Eagles still look like the most complete team in the NFL to me, and almost a shoe-in for the NFC going into the Super Bowl. So that's your top 3. Again, this week is going to be Eagles, Bengals, and Chiefs. The 49ers move up, and we drop the Dolphins pretty far down, where at first we thought they might be top 4 or 5. So there we go, guys. Thursday Night Football is coming in a couple of days, and we'll update you guys next week. Keep an eye out tomorrow for the Bropinions podcast. That video will be put up on my channel, and then you can check it out by looking up Bropinions on Spotify and Apple Music. For the Stardom Situm, for the second week in the playoffs, we got skin in the game this week. So keep an eye out for that, guys. We appreciate all your support. Smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave me a comment. Argue with me, and we'll have a good time. So until next time, Fam Jam, I'm out.